Hello, everyone. Ina Thorne and Paul Gillen here at the BDR headquarters, and we're broadcasting live from Seattle, Washington. Tonight, we're gathered here to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Backcountry Discovery Routes. We're a volunteer nonprofit organization that over the last 10 years has created 10 cross-state routes for dual sport and adventure motorcycle travel. These routes encompass over 10,000 miles of adventure for the riding community. This is a huge milestone for our organization. Thanks for joining us, and we're glad you're celebrating with us tonight.
So we've got an action-packed night planned for you. I say planned. There's a lot of technology that has to work right and a lot of people that have to show up on Skype at the right time. But technology permitting, we've got a lot in store for you. We've got some footage from deep inside the BDR vault. We've got some things we're going to show you that have never been seen before, and we have a lot of things that are so old that you just don't remember them. We've also got some live guests joining us. We've got some faces from way back when, blast from the past. And we just welcome you guys to join us and take a walk down the BDR memory lane with us. And we're also going to do a little bit of fundraising along the way. We're a nonprofit, so we exist on the generosity of the community. So you can donate on Tiltify, which is on the YouTube channel. The link is below. Or if you've got a significant donation that you want to make, you can email us at info@ridebdr.com. We're going to be keeping track of both of them on the thermometer behind Ina there. So feel free to make a donation anytime. And let's get in the mood right now with a little bit of BDR action.
We're doing the Oregon Backcountry Discovery Route, the OBDR.
We like to just head off in a certain direction, not knowing where we're going to camp, and just ride.
Well, Washington needs a route like this. There isn't a route across Washington for adventure motorcyclists.
Our goal is to travel on public access roads that can be used by any off-road vehicle.
Adventure motorcycling, backcountry riding is one of the most dynamic, most exciting new chapters in exploring the American West in many years.
You won't see very many people, and it's roads that you normally wouldn't find.
You're out looking for adventure, and Idaho provides any level of riding that you want to pursue.
This is a cool old town. Moose, bear. This is Idaho.
The best thing is getting people out into backcountry to see things they've maybe never experienced before.
My passion has always been motorcycle riding off-road. I want to share it with other people. It's really about as simple as that.
For the East Coasters, I want them to know that adventure is a little closer than they may think. We've got a lot to offer.
Even today, we can still travel the same trails. We can cross the same streams. We can gaze out on the same vistas that the early adventurers to California did.
Meeting this 10-year milestone has been really cool. 10 years, 10 routes, 10,000 miles of adventure. Proud about the team and what we've accomplished together.
So we had a fundraiser planned, our annual fundraiser planned this May in the Appalachian region in Georgia, but that had to be canceled due to COVID. The silver lining to it is that we've taken it online, and instead of just 85 people, all of you can join us tonight online. We also had to postpone the Wyoming BDR route and film production by a year, so we plan to release the Wyoming BDR route in early of 2022. So in the meantime, it's critical for us to raise enough funds to be able to carry out the mission of the organization. You can donate tonight to this campaign using the Tiltify link below, or if you're planning to make a larger donation, or maybe through your family foundation or fund, you can email us right now at info@ridebdr.com, and we have volunteers standing by checking the messages.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us tonight to celebrate 10 years. I just can't believe that 10 years has gone by and that the BDR has existed for that long. I'm really proud that in that 10 years, we've created 10 routes all throughout the U.S., and they total 10,000 miles of adventure that is right there at your fingertips. You just simply go to the website, download the tracks, and you go follow in our footsteps and have an adventure of a lifetime. As Ina mentioned, we are not making the Wyoming documentary this year, so to fill the void, because we love the movie tour that we do throughout the U.S., so we're going to do a 10-year retrospective. It's going to go through the full history of the BDR. There'll be a lot of things that no one has seen before. And so tonight we're going to do a little bit of a sneak peek of some of that upcoming film that Sterling has been working on. And we're going to hear from some special guests. So, Ina.
Yeah, so our goal tonight is to raise $60,000 in the next 2 hours. If you're donating on Tiltify, there are some sweet perks waiting there for donors at different levels, including some limited edition and special commemorative t-shirts. And then behind me, I have this donation bar, and basically it's the cumulative number of donations from our Tiltify page and from the pledges that we receive from our big donors. Again, if BDR has played a positive or made a positive impact on your life and you want to share this passion for adventure riding with the rest of the community, please support us tonight during our annual fundraiser.
Okay, so if we reach our goal tonight, I am told that we have a very special reward for the community. Many people know Jocelyn Snow of GS Trophy fame. She's really well known. She's supported by BMW motorcycles, BMW Moto Rod. She's also a big ambassador here at Backcountry Discovery Route. So I am told that she's going to do a Backcountry Discovery Route.
Yes,
is this real?
It is real. It's coming if we reach our goal. Well, I think it's time to get this party started. What do you think, Paul?
Let's do it.
So settle in, grab a soothing drink, and let's take a ride down BDR memory lane. Paul, tell us how the idea of the BDR came together.
Well, way back in the 90s, Bob and Cheryl Greenstreet, they had this idea to create off-highway routes in the backcountry from a border, northern border to the southern border of a state. They actually had big plans to do it from Canada all the way to Mexico. So they started in their home state of Oregon. They created this route. It ran into some trouble and lost government support. And so it kind of fell by the wayside. But Tom Myers, who was the founder of Psychoactive Inc., TourTech USA, he heard about this and it was right up his alley. So he and another friend in the year 2000, they went and rode the Oregon BDR. And Tom was one of the early guys on the internet, and he had such a fantastic time on that he did a ride report. And he published it on psychoactive.com, the business website back then. And it was like the only real ride report or good information about the Oregon route for many, many years. So that was kind of Tom's claim to fame. Fast forward 10 years, I was the new guy at TourTech USA, came from the motorcycle industry, but I didn't really have adventure experience. So Tom thought it would be cool if we went out and rode the Oregon BDR on our TourTech bikes and just got up to speed on the adventure lifestyle and using TourTech products. So we set out to do that. Me being the marketing guy that I am, I wanted to bring a photographer and a camera guy along, film guy with us, so that we could create some good content to show in the trade show booth or here in the TourTech store. And we had a new YouTube channel that only had a couple of videos on it at the time, so we wanted to put something really cool on that. So we went out there, we wrote it, filmed it. Helge did the still photography, which I used. I wrote a story for Roadrunner magazine that got published in the February 2010 issue. And so that is kind of the backstory to how that got started. I think we've got some footage from back in the Oregon days, so let's take a look.
We're doing the Oregon Backcountry Discovery Route, the OBDR.
I learned about the Oregon BDR in 1999 when a friend of mine called and said, "Hey, I just discovered this on the internet. Do you want to ride it?" So we did it, and it was really fun.
This was my first extended motorcycle trip. It was a little intimidating at first, just knowing that you're going to be out in these remote locations with just your motorcycle and your gear. We knew our starting point, but beyond that, nothing was planned.
We are out here because all four of us, we are doing this because of our passion. Sterling is doing the video, I'm doing the photography.
Well, this is the second night on the trail here, and we found a great place to camp.
Tom and I did the cooking and cleaning and dishes. We were able to shoot a lot of photos that we can use in the catalog and on the website. And we took a lot of videos to really capture the essence of the OBDR.
That YouTube video was a little bit surprising to me because people would come up to me and say, "Oh, you're the famous guy." And I thought, no, I just ride my motorcycle.
So if you're just joining us tonight, we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Backcountry Discovery Routes, and it's also our annual fundraiser. So if you want to support the BDR, click the link in the bio to Tiltify or email us to pledge your support at info@ridebdr.com. Moving on, Paul. So you rode the Oregon BDR, and what are your sharpest memories from that first trip?
Yeah, I think we saw some footage of it a minute ago, that big water crossing, that's the Malheur River. At the time, that was my first real water crossing, and I think to this day, it's still the widest water crossing I've ever done. The rocks were really big and slippery, so it was terrifying, and I was crossing at the same time as Helge Petersen, and we were on camera filming, so that is a memory I'll never forget. The water was warm. It was really gorgeous. Beyond that, I just remember camping in these remote places that were hunting camps, and there was nobody there. They get used in the fall during hunting season, and we were there in August, and we had these places to ourselves. We felt like we were in the middle of nowhere and just didn't see anyone out there for the longest times. I remember trying to explain it to people when I got home, and I just kept saying that we saw more cattle guards than people for a week, basically. So,
And that's how rural BDR routes are. So what happens next? You guys, how did the Washington route come to be? That was the first route that you created as a group.
Yeah, exactly. So that was inspired by Bryce Stevens and Andrew Cull. They saw our YouTube clip about the Oregon route, and they thought, Washington really is a great state and it could use its own route. And so they set out to do it. We didn't know them at the time, but they got working on trying to map out a route across Washington. They saw the video, they thought it was cool, they wanted to do something similar, so they called Sterling, asked Sterling if he wanted to make a movie, and Sterling always wants to make a movie. In fact, he wanted to make a documentary. So they just needed someone to pay for it, and then somehow our name came up, so they got together. We had a little lunch meeting across the street at Goldie's, and before the check came, Tom had agreed to pay for the documentary. I agreed to help manage the project, and it just really went from there. So we went out, wrote it, we filmed it. Helge came along once again, took the still photos. I ended up writing a number of magazine stories about that project. It was in the Touratech catalog, so it was published worldwide. And we even played the documentary at a couple of local motorcycle shops. That was really the beginning of the film premiere tours that now are up to 45, 50 different cities. We also made our first DVD. Back then that was a big thing, is to have a DVD of the movie, and that DVD is still for sale. So we also made the first BDR website. We basically wanted people to be able to download the tracks and have planning information to see the photos and link to the video to see all about it. So I think we've got some footage from the Washington days. So let's take a look.
One day Sterling Noreen called us and said that he had met a couple guys who wanted to create a Washington backcountry discovery route.
Well, Washington needs a route like this. There isn't, from what I can tell, there isn't a route across Washington for adventure motorcyclists.
They thought that we would laugh and tell them to get out of the office, and that's so far from the truth.
And Tom Myers was the first guy to get out his checkbook and just write checks to fund the BDR. We ran it through Touratech USA, and quite frankly, I didn't even tell him how much money we were spending.
When we started planning this, I was having so much fun looking at all of the roads and all of the different ways to cross the state.
The last trip we did was with 4 people, including me, and it was a lot easier logistically. With 8 people, it was a lot to coordinate. There were a lot more sponsors, a lot more companies involved.
We want this to be something that gets ridden by hundreds of people a year or more.
It's just a great feeling to create something like this that is going to go on for a long, long time, and there are going to be a lot of people that are impacted by it.
So after Washington BDR, you all decided to start a nonprofit organization to formalize this effort to create routes for the community? How did that start?
Well, we wanted it to be by the community, for the community. We didn't want it to be a private thing. We didn't really want it to belong to Touratech, although Touratech was really involved in the beginning. We wanted it to be, sort of public domain, community domain. And we wanted to keep the formula really consistent and simple. So basically it was a border-to-border route, just like Oregon was the model for. We wanted to use as much public lands as possible, or keep the thing entirely in public lands so that it would be sustainable. We went to great lengths to put as much dirt as possible. We really wanted to minimize the pavement and to avoid population centers altogether. We wanted to not go through strip malls or by strip malls or Walmarts. We wanted little tiny one gas pump towns where we could. We wanted the GPS tracks to be downloadable for the community, so they were always free. Just that was our give back to the community. We wanted each one to have a documentary film. It was just fun making it. It was a great way to share it, to inspire people, and also to help them just kind of see how you get by out there, what really happens when you're on a week-long trip living off of the bike. We also wanted to have planning information to make it easy for people to plan a trip, and basically make it easy for people to have this idea become a reality, to make this adventure thing, which was really broad. A lot of times you see people traveling around the world and these big things, but we wanted something that a person could just take a week of vacation and go out there and do it. And so we also ended up with a BUTLER map that became a part of the program. So let's take a little bit of a look back to the original formula on some really old footage.
We've received a lot of feedback from customers on the Washington backcountry route. We've actually come across people on the trail that were from Canada and other states that are out there doing it. So it's been fun to see those people experience it for the first time. It's been really rewarding.
We realized this could be done in every state in the West. I remember the moment that I decided it ought to be the shortest domain name possible, and 5 letters allowed us to add the state abbreviation with BDR. And I got on the web and bought all of the domains for the 11 western states.
BUTLER Maps came on board, interestingly enough, as a financial sponsor, but without the intention of making the map. And then it was an afterthought that we thought to make an actual map of this. It became just this inseparable part of the BDR and what it is, having the BUTLER map of each route.
You have a big map that showcases all the segments, all the details, and then you can download the tracks on the BDR website and then ride the ride.
We didn't want it to be a Touratech thing. We didn't want it to be a for-profit thing. We really wanted this to be by the community, for the community. Pretty early on, we sort of sent it in that direction. Backcountry Discovery Routes is a nonprofit organization working hard to educate, to share these routes, and to protect these riding areas, to keep them open for motorcyclists.
I thought supporting the BDR project was a good idea for Touratech USA, and I had no idea that the entire adventure community would support this project.
We have got a lot of feedback, and we've been what we have done with that feedback is created a frequently asked questions that we've put up on our website that helps people plan. And we're going to continue to do that as people have feedback. We're going to answer the questions and try and turn it over to the community so that they can plan and have a good trip.
So I just received a note that Robert Jandro, one of our supporters, has pledged $2,500 to this fundraiser. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
this is very generous. A reminder, if you would like to give any amount to this fundraiser tonight, use the Tiltify link in the bio or email us at info@ridebdr.com. Moving on, let's talk about BUTLER Maps. They have been a partner of the BDR from the very beginning, and they are a great group of motorcyclists. They have ridden thousands of miles around the U.S. to verify their G1, the golden paved roads, the best roads in the United States. But for the last decade, BDR has partnered with BUTLER Maps to create a map for each of the 10 BDR routes. And so our brands are so intertwined, in fact, that a lot of the times at the motorcycle shows, people will come up to us and say, "Oh, I know you, I have all of your 50 maps." And in fact, they're talking about BUTLER Maps. So there's definitely a lot of history between BUTLER Maps and BDR, and we're looking forward to another decade of a productive partnership.
Yeah, it was interesting. I came to know Court first as a customer of Touratech USA. He had a 1200 GS, and he was out riding all of these roads trying to make get the information he needed to make his first BUTLER G1 maps. So he was a customer of Touratech. I swear he bought just about everything in the catalog for his 12 GS. And when we had that Washington project, I was just calling people that we knew in the industry, trying to drum up a little support financially to help us pull that project off. And Court and Justin really believed in the project, and so they sponsored us at a cash level that was very high considering how small of a company they were. So they just believed in it. They had a passion for it. And let's play a little bit of the video of BUTLER maps over the years.
What excites me the most about the BDRs is the camaraderie that I would always get a preview of, a snapshot every time I would watch the videos.
Court BUTLER, one of our closest friends, part of the family at the BDR. He creates the maps, he comes on the filming projects with us, he's just been instrumental, helps at the fundraisers, really good guy, and he's just been a part of the family from the beginning.
Beyond just making the maps, Court provides comic relief on the films. He has been part of a number of projects and a character in the film. And when he's not there, we really miss him.
This morning, my bike was toilet papered. This is the first thing I came out to on our last morning of riding with what I thought were my friends. $5,000 for, at the end of this trip, every single person in the group wrings out the accumulation of dirt and body sweat, and you have to put it in a glass and drink it. Getting a chance to disconnect from all the responsibilities of the company for 10 days and just literally have the world as your playground. So there's a lot of fun innocent pranks that we do. Paul's little situation, the great salami disaster of 2017, was pretty good yesterday.
I guess the ladies in the store were in on it, and they even let him return the stuff, which is pretty hilarious if you ask me.
We've seen some strange stuff, but this is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to have used an entire roll to cover up that big fat bite. And I think most of this is clean, except for that little spot right there that Rob probably used.
Okay, I think we've got Court BUTLER from BUTLER Maps standing.
So
Hey,
the donations you're
Ian and
giving
Paul,
me,
how are
put
you
them in that
guys?
spreadsheet, and that'll calculate. You.
Okay, I think
Thanks, I
we've
did it
got
for you guys.
Court
And by the way,
BUTLER from
I
BUTLER
think that
Maps
Justin and
standing
I were on
by.
food
Court,
stamps
welcome
the
to the
next 6
show.
months after that donation early on. So,
Hey, Court. Good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for straightening out the lighting in your room there. And your hair looks magnificent, as always.
As always.
If we,
and by the way, I think that Justin and I were on food stamps the next 6 months after that donation early on.
oh, I knew you were. I think you guys got out over your skis on that one.
Obviously,
but,
the documentary
we
rides
wouldn't be here if you guys hadn't.
outstanding.
So really, it was a huge contribution.
Unforgettable. I'd say that my short stint on
other than living
the
on food
board
stamps for
was
6 months to
top
help
10
fund the
most
BDR,
memorable
what is your
experiences of my life?
fondest memory from
Probably
any BDR?
more so than all of that stuff are the fundraisers. And I'll say to anybody here listening this evening that may have not been to one of the BDR fundraisers yet, maybe vacillating on the fence a little bit, sign up next year. Sign up, don't even think twice. It is such an amazing an ability to see behind the scenes to exactly what makes all things BDR function. You get to hang out with Paul, Ina, Tom, Tim, Rob. You get to make fun of Rob Watt quite a bit. All these fun things that just leave an indelible mark in your memory. So I would recommend signing up for the fundraisers. It's an awesome adventure retreat for moto enthusiasts, I guess. And you know, you get to ride some awesome roads, dirt and street rides on the weekends. Great stories to tell around the campfire. It's just an amazing experience. Your memory. So I would recommend signing up for the fundraisers. It's an awesome adventure retreat for moto enthusiasts, I guess. And you know, you get to ride some awesome road, dirt, and rides. Great stories to tell around campfires. It's just an amazing experience.
Paul,
that's an
we
awesome
always enjoy having
question.
those. Those are a wonderful time.
I feel like I can
as
speak
to the,
for everybody here at the
main,
company.
BDR,
that,
the routes, the projects, everything.
BDR,
You've been one of the few guys that's been involved
journey
since the very, very beginning.
You guys over
What
the
does
last
the BDR
decade
mean
has
to you and to Butler Maps?
unforgettable. It's just been a wild ride. It's something that I believe all of us at one point in our lives where we face this existential crisis, if you will, that you want to leave behind, you want to be a part of something a little bit larger than yourself. And I believe the BDR is it epitomizes exactly that. It's not one person that has made this organization so unbelievably successful. It's the collective, it's the enterprise, it's the fact that long after we're all gone, I hope that these routes still are around, that every rider goes into these routes with their own experience and what they want to get out of them. And so from a cathartic standpoint, it's just amazing. The BDR mission statement of raising awareness for off-highway travel, responsible off-highway travel, and the small communities, all the positive aspects that the BDR has as a byproduct brought to these small communities that otherwise would have not had any other mechanism to generate this sales tax revenue. So it's just an outstanding journey that we've been a part of, something that I would never trade for the world, and I really look forward to the next 10 years for sure. Any other mechanism to generate this sales tax revenue. So it's just an outstanding journey that we've been a part of, something that absolutely, guys. Thank you. Good night. I really look forward.
We've just received a few more pledges from our big donors. We want to thank Sean Winters for his donation of $1,000.
Wow. Thank you, Sean.
Winters Brothers, thank you very much, $500. And Eric Murdoch, our longtime supporter, for $500. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
And we also have, Tracy just told me, an anonymous donation.
Okay.
But there's a trick to it.
Ah.
This anonymous donor is offering a match of the largest donation we get tonight up to the value of $20,000. So if anybody out there wants to donate a significant amount, it will be matched up to $20,000, which could generate $40,000 to a BDR.
Wow.
That's almost as much as a salary of one of our employees, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But that's how important it is for us to raise these funds so we can
Wow.
continue producing routes for the community. Again, as a reminder, if you're just joining us, you can donate tonight at Tiltify. The link is in the bio, or email us at info@ridebdr.com.
So the largest donation that happens tonight gets doubled.
Exactly.
Up to a $20,000 donation. So, wow, that's pretty huge. That's amazing. Well, we really appreciate our anonymous donors. That just means a lot to us. So thank you so much for doing that. And I hope somebody takes advantage of that and makes that generous donation pay.
We hope so. So, after you created the Washington route, did you guys decide you wanted to create more routes moving forward?
Yeah, we were sitting around the campfire on that Washington trip when we were filming it. We hadn't even finished it yet, and we were already dreaming about what could be next. What other state could we do a BDR? It just seemed like such a cool concept. And so Utah very quickly was top of the list. Tom, myself, Bryce Stevens had all spent a lot of time in Utah mountain biking. Bryce had done a lot of backpacking there, and it was just such a magnificent state. We knew it would make a really good BDR. So that was our plan. That summer we met Rob Watt. He was at the TourTech rally, and he was learning about the BDRs, and he really wanted us to help. He had experience in Utah. It's close to where he lives in Colorado. So he and Bryce teamed up, and they finished scouting that route and really put it together. And from that day forward, Rob just was a huge part of the BDR, and still is to this day.
Yeah, Rob is definitely one of the most influential BDR volunteers and board members. He brought a lot to the table during his many years being the core team at the BDR, and he spearheaded and managed the creation of 7 BDR routes. And he's also an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and was instrumental in the BDR film production and helping make our films progressively better over the years. I think we have a video to show about Rob.
We met Rob Watt at one of our TourTech adventure rallies. Boy, I remember the enthusiasm that he brought in.
I'm kind of the trail master of the trip. I just kind of try to make sure that we're in the right place at the right time, staying on track and making sure that we're safe and everyone's having a great time.
He was really interested in what we were doing with the BDR. He was really big into adventure motorcycles. He had a filmmaking background, and he simply put in the time. He did a lot of route development, was instrumental in helping organize and put together the filming expeditions. He's really been instrumental in a lot of what the BDR has done over the last 10 years.
It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get it going.
He worked out the logistics of the route. He found the gas stations. He talked with land managers. He talked with government agencies, and he worked out these routes ahead of time. They were just impeccable.
Rob Watt was really instrumental in helping me make the films because, you know, he had some experience in that area. Rob would give me a lot of information about what was coming up ahead or what was around the bend or where some scenic locations were, and he helped make my job as a filmmaker a lot easier.
Okay, so I think we've got Rob standing by. So Rob, welcome to the show. And for everyone that's out there, we're having a little bit of internet glitches right now. So while Rob is, while we're sorting that out, couple of quick little stories about Rob. I remember
I think
Justin and I
just joined.
Oh, is that Rob there? Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rob. Glad you made it.
Yeah, I was just about. Okay, excellent. We advanced that slide. So Rob, you go back to the almost the very beginning with the BDR, the Utah-Colorado days. What do you remember about creating the Utah route?
You know, Bryce and I, it was a challenge because, you know, as a lot of people have experienced, there's a lot of sand in Utah and there's a lot of rock. And so just trying to find a route that that most people could do. You know, you can find some really hard stuff in Utah, and we found a lot of that, but we didn't want it to be too tough. So it just took a lot of days of just going back from Colorado over to Utah and meeting Bryce over there, meeting Sterling over there to kind of see what Utah was all about. And Bryce did a lot of research ahead of time, and I knew a lot about Utah before that. So it just, you know, it's a special place. Anyone that's ridden there knows how special Utah is. Just the red rocks and then the high mountains, you know, through the Abajo.
I think Rob stalled there. Do we? Okay, we're spooling a little bit. One of the things I remember about Rob is his 7 bags that he had on the back of his bike that we always teased him about until somebody needed something, and then he always had the, whether it was inflating your pad or borrowing his mallet for hammering in the stakes. So Rob, are you back with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I can hear you. Tell us, how did the Colorado BDR come to be?
Well, the Colorado BDR was, again, it was a little bit of Bryce and myself just kind of figuring out where we wanted to go. But it took a lot of people just getting together, Chuck McNeil, who was an ambassador, and myself and others just going and riding and trying to figure out a great spot to go from one side of the state to the other. And what was cool about Colorado that I knew is that we could do almost the entire state in dirt. And if anyone, those that have ridden the Colorado BDR know that, man, you get into some really high mountains and the views are like no other BDR in the whole system. And it's just something that everyone needs to experience. If you're going to do a BDR, Colorado absolutely is, I think, one of the best ones to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely, having done it, it was magnificent views. Rob, we really missed you on the last few. You've always been our safety guy. you know, safety takes no holiday, reminding us to slow down. And a few of us got into trouble not having that voice on our shoulder on the last project. Isn't that right, Ina?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we missed you on the last couple, but man, thanks for everything you've done over the years. The BDR. And I believe we've got big plan to talk about, talk to Mr. Bradshaw, but I think before we do that, we've got a little video. So if we can, let's roll the clip of Justin Bradshaw, and then if we're lucky, we'll get to talk to him on the other side.
Justin Bradshaw is one of the funnier guys on our crew.
First night of camping, it rained, and I had to take a really bad dump.
Constantly has me laughing.
Justin Bradshaw is a guy that can turn the throttle, and he also loves to camp and make good food.
I had a jamtastrophe in my Pioneer, and it's a mess. Yeah, that sucks.
There's really never a dull moment.
Managing chafe. It's a very important aspect of adventure riding. Chafing is a serious issue, especially on the Arizona BDR. My favorite way to do it is the dump and shake.
Dump and shake.
He adds an element that's pretty funny there, so of course I have big shoes to fill.
Anything that Bradshaw has already told you about the BDRs?
Do the opposite.
Well, there was a bottle of wild turkey.
We're at the Happy Burro Chili and Beer, and Justin has got the special chair and the special hat. How's that feel?
Were you wasting my balls?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cowboy and a hooker last night crashed our party.
Pew, 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 pew.
Liquor, fuel, showers, everything right here.
About time you showered, Bradshaw. Tired of smelling your stink.
And if you've never bathed in a river before, you should do it on a BDR because it's fantastic. Never poop in the river either, despite how.
Welcome to the show. Justin, welcome to the show. Yeah, I'm not sure if he can hear us. Does he need to unclick his mic? Okay, Justin, can you hear us now? Justin, what swimsuit Bradshaw? Justin, can you hear us? We tested it earlier.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I can hear you now. Great. I had worked with Ina a little bit she was a contractor helping us out at TourTech doing marketing, And I learned that she had really good nonprofit experience. She worked for a nonprofit here in Seattle, and then she had a lot of adventure riding experience. Her and her husband did this epic trip, 6 months long, living off their motorcycles. And so we recruited her to run the BDR. We basically said, will you just please run the organization? Yes. Fortunately, she said yes. She's been running it ever since, and she laid the foundation for what the BDR would become, and she even volunteered to join us on the Arizona project, which was the first film that we had a woman join us on that filming trip. So let's take a look back at the Ina era. Ina was working for us at the time for TourTech USA, and I had her sit down in my office one day. I said, Ina, will you take over the BDR?
It's going to be tough. I don't know if I can make it. We'll see.
She jumped at the chance, and boy, she had the right skill set.
It's pretty crazy. For me, like I'm lucky because I'm on a smaller bike and I'm able to just hug it between my legs and just let the front do whatever it wants to do. My heart is pumping. You know, I think I'm in a good group of guys. I conquered it, but it was so hard.
The best part of my job is working with people, answering questions and inspiring them to explore the backcountry of the United States or the world on two wheels. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Working for the BDR is really not about the money. All my life I worked for nonprofits, and for me it's really important to help people to achieve their goals or to explore the world. And I was fortunate enough to be able to explore the world many years ago on a motorcycle, and for me it was a life-changing experience, and that's what I want to share with people through the BDR. So if you're just tuning in, we're here at the BDR headquarters, and this is our 10-year anniversary celebration and fundraiser. If you want to give back to the organization, donate now at Tiltify. The link is in the bio on YouTube, or email us at info@ridebdr.com to pledge your support. I've just received a note here that Murdoch Martin Consulting has pledged $500. Thank you very much for your generosity. And thanks for everyone who is watching us right now and donating. Back to the Arizona BDR.
Yeah.
That was my first BDR. I rode a smaller bike, which was good. But the cool part about that ride was Austin Vince. Austin is, of course, the well-known British motorcycle filmmaker. He's the original do-it-yourself ADV enthusiast. And Austin and his friends rode around the world on their Suzuki DR 350s Kickstarter bikes. Rode around the world in the late 90s, and they made a documentary film about that trip called Mondo Enduro. And the funny part about it is Austin rode around the world twice, never had a problem, and then he was on the Arizona BDR and had a pretty bad crash pretty early on the trip. So he was only with us for a couple days.
Yeah.
But man, those 2 days were some of the funniest days in my life.
Oh my God. I remember we just laughed. It felt like for 2 days. I remember my stomach muscles being so sore. I felt like I did 100 sit-ups, but it was really just, he had us in stitches the entire time. Laugh a minute. Some of his funniest things were when he interacted with locals. It was just unbelievable. I think we've got a little clip here we can share of Austin interacting with the locals.
We've been driving through Arizona, and suddenly we encounter this oasis of free thinking. What brings me here? Well, I've come on a motorcycle trip as part of the...
You're with the... Oh, was it
I'm with a whole gang of motorcyclists, yeah, but without the troublesome side effects of us taking over the town and going crazy. The other guys have got the GPS wizardry, and that's got the Arizona Backcountry Discovery route programmed into the actual knick-knack of the doodah of the dip-dap-zip-zang, and then that, we follow that along. Oh, it's all science, you know, science fiction. I love the hole in the concrete wall. It looks like there's a kind of there's a Berlin Wall thaw here. Got to break out of claustrophobic, conservative, repressive America into the freedom of Bisbee.
Have fun. Don't get caught. If you get in trouble, come back. Why?
Okay. Well, Austin was funny, as you can tell, interacting with the locals. I also have one last little story about Austin. We were getting ready in the morning, and he had his 30-year-old Bolé helmet, and he was like sticking a wool sock into it. And we were like, Austin, what are you doing putting a sock in your helmet? He explained to us he had spilled some fuel in his helmet and had eaten the foam out. So he had this big void in his foam. And so rather than getting a new helmet, he just stuck a wool sock in that void and kept running it. Lord knows how long he's been running that wool sock in it. But just classic example of how he doesn't take himself seriously. He's like the low budget DIY adventure guy. Anyways, after the trip, he went back to the UK and he was so inspired that he created some poetry. So hopefully we have it and can show for you. This is Austin's Ode to the Arizona BDR.
Hello there, Austin is my name, and I'm gregarious, not a loner. So I joined a backcountry kind of game that took place in Arizona. But first the crew had to convene, together with no clashes, to the finest Phoenix bike shop dream, arising from the ashes. The Tombstone team were 9 in all, BUTLER Matt and Tourer Tech, recruited by the Gillian Paul, with pictures taken by John Beck. Long rides like these require some tools. Certain riders favour pliers, but frankly folks, you ride with fools if you ride without a Myers. Rob Watt had found a tangle of trails, and Justin brought them to order, whilst Sterling's shooting never fails to have you heading for the border. Florian was comfortable on a mighty big GS, whilst Thorny Shmulyova outrode us all, girl power at its best. A giant tree for you and me, and tidy Nemo tents, but one camper learned, regretfully, no tent ain't common sense. Riding up a stony hill and soaking up the dust, a pure backcountry discovery thrill. If you get a chance, you must. You know you can. Devise a plan. In your schedule, make some room, because a BDR makes you the lucky man who'll see adventure riding bloom.
Okay.
So donations are coming in steadily. Thank you very much to everyone who is donating tonight. I'm going to move our area here to $15,000. We're doing pretty good.
Thank you, everybody.
Another backstory to the Arizona BDR?
Yeah, so originally we tried to get Austin's wife to come on the project, Lois Price. She's a famous traveler, and so she was the one that we had in mind. We tried, but she was busy and she just couldn't make it.
Quite the consolation prize Austin was. Well, speaking about women and the BDR, over the years we had many wonderful women riders join us on the filming expeditions, including Tracy Jeffries, SHALMARIE Wilson, Jocelyn Snow, and Victoria Zandanella. Let's take a look at some of the famous BDR ladies.
I'm really grateful that women have increasingly had a role in the BDR. We've got super volunteer Tracy Jeffries, who has been instrumental in almost everything that we've done.
It's about the people for me. I've made such great friends, and I just love this community.
We had SHALMARIE Wilson, who's an ambassador. She was also in one of our film projects.
I absolutely love adventure riding. I love connecting with people from all over. When I'm traveling on two wheels, all is right in my world. I hope to be a role model that will inspire other people to follow their dreams. Just get out there and do what you love.
Our last project, we had both Ina and Jocelyn Snow that really took it to another level.
I kind of made it like, for me, my internal mission to inspire other riders, to inspire women, short riders, men, even riders who've been riding for many, many years, to get out and see some new places. I mean, the world is a huge adventure.
Seeing so many women coming out and becoming adventure riders is so exciting. There's been a few times that we've come off of a BDR route and there's some guys that didn't make it, but all of a sudden all the women show up. We may be late, but you know, we do make it and we make it safe.
Many people, even those who live close, don't understand how accessible a lot of this beautiful dirt terrain is. And it's always interesting to see people's faces light up when we bring them through these areas.
There's a huge amount of women influence in our organization from top to bottom, and it's been really fun to have those sort of collaborations, and they've been really instrumental in the path that we've been on.
Oh, the ladies. Well, back to the organization. As the nonprofit has developed, our mission has expanded to include economic impact and access and advocacy efforts. Let's talk first about the economic impact and how fueling these local economies helps protect access to our backcountry riding.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So several years ago, we started to realize there was a secondary benefit to the BDR beyond just us showing people, fun things to do with their motorcycles. And we knew that there was a lot of spend happening in these small communities, and that we were bringing this new form of tourism, motorcycle tourism, to these small towns and communities. A lot of them were had lost mining. Mining had closed down, forestry had dried up, their industries were going away, and they're really just hanging on by a thread. These less advantaged rural communities are really pretty desperate for some economic stimulus. And then we create a BDR, and we send 1,000 or more motorcyclists through these little towns using their little one gas pump town store, eating in their restaurants, staying in their hotels, and it makes these businesses viable. And when those businesses stay open, helps us, give us a jumping off point to explore these really remote areas, but also they come to have a stake in these roads and trails staying open because their livelihoods depend on it. So it ends up being a really win-win for us, where it helps them be viable and gives us local people that are protecting those roads staying open for our riders. So it's really a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in fact, in support of this economic impact mission, we received grants from tourism departments. One was for the Idaho BDR from the Idaho Tourism Office. And then consequently, when we were developing the Nevada BDR, Nevada Tourism Office gave us a grant in support of that project. And in 2017, we did an economic impact study with two professors from the Florida Atlantic University. And that study found that in 2017, $17.3 million were spent by out-of-state riders in the 7 BDR states that we had in existence at that time. And that's by out-of-state riders. We could not even count riders who were riding a BDR within their state. And then another good number that we wanted to share with you is that 1,200 motorcycles were purchased in 2017 specifically to ride a BDR.
That is really impressive. When we did our back of the napkin math on what we thought was happening out there, we came close to that 17 million number. So that one didn't surprise me as much as the 1,200 bikes. What was it? $13.4 million worth of motorcycles were sold to people that were going to ride BDR. That was really pretty impressive. That one blew me away. Speaking of economic impact, we want to bring on our next guest. His name is Bill Whitaker. He is a board member. He's a treasurer, so he's one of the officers of the nonprofit. He also serves on our route development committee. Bill has ridden his bike in 25 countries. He's been on Globe Riders tours. He's ridden 7 of our backcountry discovery routes. And Bill also was instrumental in helping us develop the Idaho route. He's an Idaho native. So hopefully we have Bill standing by. And Bill, if you can hear us, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Paul. First of all, I'm not a native, but I've been here long enough.
Great. I'm glad that the internet is allowing you to be with us right now. So, Bill, how long have you been retired from your day job?
Well, I'm officially 2 years about right now. Some days I don't feel very retired, but I will say I've got control of my schedule.
Wow.
It gives me a lot more time, time to ride.
That is good. Is BDR taking up more of your spare time than you anticipated?
Well, I think you and Ina wanted to, but seriously, yeah, you spend more time on it because it's important to me. And it's important to be one of the contributors on the team. And we just have a small team. So, yeah, definitely taking up more time, but not too much time.
Yeah. What for those of us who haven't ridden the Idaho BDR, what's special about riding in Idaho?
Oh, my gosh. It's, well, first of all, you get to ride everything in Idaho. You get to ride the desert in the south. and work your way up through mountains and lookout towers and old mining communities. And by the time you get to Canada, you don't miss anything. You get the full meal deal on this thing. You know, it's pretty interesting. Lee Trevino said one time that I never met a golf course I didn't like. I feel that way about BDR routes, but Idaho's pretty special to me.
Yeah, we just were talking about economic impact in these small, less advantaged rural communities. And I remember going through some of the tiniest little towns I've ever seen in my life, even fueling up your motorcycle without hitting asphalt when we were on the Idaho BDR. Have you seen any evidence of economic impact in those small places?
Yeah, you know, it's pretty special because when we first started scouting this, you know, I'd stop and visit with people, talk about routes and so on and so forth. And a lot of those were merchants and want to know about fuel or whatever. Today, in fact, I've done it going through not only Idaho, but just last week, Nevada, where merchants literally, I mean, I've been hugged by these small town merchants because there's hundreds of riders coming through, and I think our riders are coming through with a lot of appreciation, a lot of respect, and I think they really like having the riders come through and just say, hey, we're riding BDR and we're glad to be here, and thank you for being here. Listen, when you get hugged 3 or 4 times during the Idaho BDR because you're with BDR, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's a wonderful story and a great way to wrap it up, Bill. Thank you for being our ambassador out there roaming around. Bill's always out riding BDRs, hugging the locals, putting stickers on windows and spreading the good word. So thanks for everything you've done for the BDR. It means a ton to us.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you all. See you later.
Okay, see ya. And up in the Northeast BDR. This is a business that just opened at the same time as the BDR went live. So let's hear from these guys about their experience.
Greetings from high up in the Catskills and Dirt Road Camp in Delancey, New York. I'm Brad. My partner is Laura, and we just wanted to extend our thanks and praise for the NEBDR. It has been critical for us. Our first full season was last year, and wow. Real campers on the way, fun people. Tourists in the age of COVID are very rare, and it's been a godsend for us. We look forward to an amazing next year. We're already building a small repair shop for people to ding up their bikes on the trail, and it's kind of changed our business plan in the good ways. So we hope other people embrace the BDR and realize that it's working hard for us. Thanks for all the support.
Okay, so the video you just saw is a business owner along the last BDR that we created. The next video we're going to show you is from the first BDR we created. This is on the Washington Backcountry Discovery Route in the tiny little town of Ardenvoire. This is the owner of Cooper General Store, and he's a guy that we've talked to for over the last 10 years, and he's always so appreciative of our riders and what we've done for his business. So let's take a look, see what he had to say.
My name's Daryl Wilcox. I own Cooper's General Store. It's been out here since 1932, an old mill camp town. I've had it for the last 13, 14 years. These guys have come and supported me. They're a great group of guys and gals, and I always appreciate all their business. They are always really friendly. They treat us really well here. You know, if I have a waitress here, they're excited to see you guys come in, you know. Everybody loves you guys here.
We're ready. Okay, great. Ina, why don't you remind us how we can donate?
Yes, so you can donate by visiting the Tiltify link in the bio on YouTube, or email us with a larger donation that you want to pledge at info@ridebdr.com. And it looks like between Tiltify and the donation pledges that we have been receiving, we are right now at about $20,000.
Wow, nice. Thank you, everybody. This is really amazing and humbling, and we just can't believe the support and the Tiltify that it's up that high already. That's really amazing. So
Yeah, so our next project after the Idaho BDR was New Mexico. And for that project, we have partnered with the New Mexico local and OHV passionate advocate. And he's also a former AMA board member, Roger Pattison. So he helped us create this route. He had huge passion for his state that he wanted to share with the rest of the community. I think we have a clip from that time.
My name is Roger Pattison, and I am a native of New Mexico. All my life I've had this longing to see new things in new places and meet new people. And all this time in my life I thought that the way to do that was to travel elsewhere. The best thing about the Backcountry Discovery Route organization is getting people out into backcountry to see things they've maybe never experienced before. This Backcountry Discovery organization has laid out these routes and the valuable tools of a map, a list of things to pack, a list of what they may run into and what they'll encounter on that trip and the special places and stops that they'll see so that they can plan for that and expect certain things. So being able to show people a defined route through New Mexico brings people closer to the culture and the heritage and the history that we all know about that live here. I've had a chance to see a lot of New Mexico, and I want other people to confidently be able to do the same.
You know, there's just nobody that loves his state as much as Roger does. He was such a gem to work with. We want to remind everybody that one of our anonymous donors has pledged a match. He's willing to match the largest donation we get tonight up to $20,000. So if any of you are thinking about going big, please know that it will be going twice as big as you go. So if you donate $15,000, it'll be matched and it'll become $30,000. If you donate $20,000, it'll become $40,000 to the BDR. That pledge match is only good for tonight, so please, somebody take advantage of it. Ina, tell us a little bit about access and advocacy with the BDR.
Yeah, so not many people know that, but access and advocacy is a big part of our mission. And we actually have a grant program where organizations can receive financial support for projects that keep trails open for riding. And we have supported organizations like the TPA, Trails Preservation Alliance, NIMOVA, the New Mexico Highway Vehicle Alliance, CORVA, California Off-Road Vehicle Association, and others. And so recently, last year, we were presented with a shovel-ready project for the Elephant Rock Motorcycle Trail Network system near Taos, New Mexico. And BDR provided seed money in collaboration with the TPA and other organizations to support this project. And just in the last year, they were really busy, and they have created approximately 35 miles of trails using previously decommissioned mining roads and revived that area for our user group. Majority of that terrain is dual sport and adventure motorcycle friendly, and the area has a lot of variety of terrain for many skill levels.
Yeah, this project was cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, you know, the BDR, we're always trying to protect and keep trails open. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect that we would actually create new terrain, you know, through our action and through our funding. So that was the first thing. The second thing is we put up a relatively small amount of money relative to the overall cost of the project. So with a $7,500 investment of our money, we were able to land a grant that put together funding for a $100,000 project. So this project was quite expensive, but because all of us put in a little bit of money, we made this thing become a reality. They're done with most of the trail work, excavation, and they're just putting the finishing touches on some bridges and the parking lot. And one of the other neat things is this is only 50 miles away from the New Mexico BDR. Actually, when we were creating the route, we tried to go through this area and we just couldn't get through. There were some areas that you just simply could not get through, but now you can. So this actually connects some other riding areas, and it's kind of a sweet deal. If you've already ridden the New Mexico BDR, now you have a reason to go back. If it's been on your list, now there's even more that you can do. You can tack on an extra day. It's also close to some other prominent, well-known routes. I think the Continental Divide goes through this area. So it's really cool. We're excited about it. And it launches next riding season. So 2021, this is all open, and it's because of you, because of your past generosity, and because of the smart funding that the BDR has done through this grant program. So that brings us back to we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we spend a lot of time and money in many ways. We just want to go through quickly some of the ways that we spend money. So we do have a staff. We've got Ina, we have Derek, we have our other Derek. They are working on BDR, every single day. We are developing new routes. We always have a couple of routes simmering on the back burner. So we spend a lot of time and energy managing, coordinating, communicating about those. We also now have 10 routes that we have to look after, and each route has its own issues and things that take time, energy, signs, working with land managers, and a whole wide scope of activities. We also create a documentary every single year, so that's a pretty big undertaking. Takes a lot of money, time, coordination, and long-term project management. We also, the BUTLER motorcycle map, the BDR internal team has a huge part of the workload on that, from copywriting to getting all the facts and figures laid out on that map. We also fund the cartography, and we fund some of the graphic design work on that. And then lastly, our safety and education programs, which we're going to talk about later on in the program.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there are marketing and communications. We do things like magazine ads. We write stories for magazines. We do email blasts. We answer phone calls and emails. There's an enormous amount of emails that come in, people asking all kinds of questions, from why my GPS is not working to, where I can find information on various routes. So that definitely takes up a lot of our time and resources. We do have a staff of 3 now, so there's administrative and office costs. We do a lot of community outreach. We attend motorcycle shows, we go to events and rallies. A lot of the times, rally organizers will contact us and ask for, brochures or stickers, or even sometimes we create posters for Ride Right and Ride Respectfully that we send to rallies. Then there's a lot of just regular nonprofit expenses, legal expenses, accounting, tax returns, insurance, and believe it or not, trademark lawyers. And then finally, of course, is our access and advocacy program that we just talked about. BDR does allocate funds to other nonprofit organizations or boots on the ground organizations that do trail maintenance or preservation, lobbying work, and so forth. So a lot is going on at the BDR behind the scenes. We're not just providing the tracks. There's a whole menu of options and opportunities that we provide for the community.
Yep. So reminder, you can donate using Tiltify. At the bottom of the screen, there's a link there on the YouTube live stream. Or if you have a bigger donation you want to make, you can send us an email and we'll track that commitment and hopefully slide the needle up on the thermometer a little more. Mm-hmm. Anything else from you, or should I jump into?
No, I just got to note that Robert Reger, a guy who attends most of our fundraisers, he's from Colorado. Last time we saw him was at the motorcycle show in Denver. Thank you so much, Robert, for your donation. Always so generous. And thank you to everyone who is donating tonight. We really, really appreciate it. The organization cannot survive without donations and support from our community. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So speaking of support from the community, I want to talk about a good friend of ours. His name is Glenn Johnson. I think there's a photo of him and Ina and I on the stage. He was getting an award because he's just been a huge help to us along the way. So we have had a fundraiser ride for many, many years, but we used to just raise a little bit of money by having an entry fee and some expenses, and we got to keep a little bit for the nonprofit at the end. And there were a couple of guys that said, we want to fund this thing at a bigger level. Why don't you guys do a little raise the paddle and just raise some money? And we were a little too bashful to do that, but they twisted our arm, and the next year we did it. And so he had that idea, and of course he raised his paddle the highest and for the biggest amount of money that year, and a few other people followed his lead. And so that has now become one of our biggest fundraising channels. I mean, it really has made a difference. He's a lifetime supporter, but beyond his generosity, he has had really good wisdom to share with us. He's been an advisor, especially on the nonprofit fundraising side. He really pushed us to become a 501c3, which made everyone's donations tax deductible, which was huge. And so we're about to start our Raise the Paddle segment of the evening, and we want Glenn Johnson to be the guy that kicks it off.
Hi, I'm Glenn Johnson. I'm 70, and I ride the BDR. At my first fundraiser, there were no donation opportunities other than the entry fee. So 3 of us got together, raised $15,000, which the BDR used as matching money, and raised a total of $45,000. This year I have the honor of being the first donor at the first virtual BDR fundraiser. So I'd like to start the event off with a $12,000 donation. Ride safe, everyone.
Okay, well, I believe Glenn just kicked us up a big notch. You want to...
Thank you so much, Glenn. And I've also got a note that Alan Berman Solo, another one of our longtime supporters, Alan and Vicky Berman Solo, have pledged $5,000. Thank you so much for your generosity. We really appreciate it.
And Glenn just pledged $12,000, so that's an additional 17 that goes up. So I think it's time to raise that needle up. So we're getting some questions online about a little confusion about the total. So we have 2 channels that we're collecting money on tonight. Tiltify is the one that has the link where you can use your credit card and just donate there. So that has a total. Separate from that, we have some people that are sending us in emails pledging larger dollar amounts, whether they're from a family trust or charitable trust, or they just want to make sure that the credit card company is not getting a cut of that because it's a bigger dollar amount. So we've got those rolling in, and we've got some spreadsheets behind the table here. People are adding up the numbers. So that's why the arrow is ahead of pace from what you're seeing on Tiltify. But both channels matter. If you want to donate with a credit card, a reasonable amount, use Tiltify. If you want to make a pledge of $1,000 or something more than that, then please just send us an email and we can invoice you for that.
Yep. Don't worry, we're keeping track. This is the accurate number over here.
That's all that matters. So good. I guess it's my turn to talk a little bit about the Tim era. We spoke about the Ina era earlier. So Tim joined us many years ago. He's become a board member for the organization. He is an officer. He's a vice president. He also is our creative director. He works on the BDR at least 7, maybe 8 days a week. It seems like he is always on the BDR, nights, weekends. And it's not just Tim, it's his creative agency, James Howard. They serve the metropolitan market there. They're based in New Jersey. They've got big clients in Manhattan and big national accounts from across the U.S. They are a top-tier creative agency, and they have built the BDR brand into something we are really proud of. So let's roll a little bit of footage of Tim.
I've been riding in New York State for probably 15 or 20 years. And over the years, I've gone from just being a road rider to being an adventure rider. And so for the last 10 or 12 years, I've been exploring the backcountry of New York. I didn't look down at my GPS once because I didn't care if we were on the track or not. I just wanted to keep going. We had a tough day today. Lots of class 4 roads. I think everybody's tired and a little gamey.
I don't know how the BDR operated before Tim James. I remember those days, but I can't see how we did it.
A lot of people think the organization is a lot larger than we are, and all that is thanks to Tim James and his team.
His creative agency, anything the BDR needs, they do for us.
He was the one who came up with the right BDR handle and many other great ideas and messages that we use.
Last year, the BDR has introduced an initiative called Ride Right, which is a great program to encourage riders to stay to the right of the tracks.
He's a good friend, great rider, and just a huge part of the BDR.
We are doing great. While we have the internet cooperating, tell us how you learned about backcountry discovery routes.
Back in 2013, I was on the phone with a good buddy of mine, Micah Harrison, and we had just came back from a ride in Africa, and we were looking to do a reunion meetup with all these people we met around the world and trying to schedule some exotic trip somewhere else in the world. And he said, Tim, we don't need to go somewhere out of the country. we got these things out here in Arizona called, a BDR. And so he told me about it. That's it. We're done. Let's get everybody into the States. And we got people from 11 guys from all around the world to come and ride the Utah BDR. It was an awesome experience.
Oh, that is amazing. That's a great story to hear that you started in, world level adventures, and now you've settled on domestic BDRs. But that speaks volumes about how cool the BDRs are.
Totally.
You've ridden many of them. What's your fondest BDR memory?
Oh, I've got a lot of them, Paul, because I've ridden a good number of them. I probably have 2 more to check off. But I'd have to say that the first is always the sweetest. And the very first night on my very first BDR adventure, we camped in the Valley of the Gods, and just, around the campfire, watching the sun go down in the Valley of the Gods, and then having coffee as it's coming up the next morning before you start off on the route, it just blew me away.
Yeah, there are few places in the world that are as magnificent as that. Speaking of magnificent, you guys do magnificent work for the BDR. Tell us just a little bit of what happens behind the scenes there at James Howard doing BDR work.
Well, we basically do anything that Ina tells me to do. That's basically how it rolls.
Good man.
No. Yeah, I'm smart. I've learned. No, we work on a daily basis, just creating all of the collateral and campaigns and event marketing, and we develop the website. You name it. Any kind of visual or written communication, we're teaming up on and helping deliver on.
Yeah. Would you say Ina's a tough boss?
She is. She gets it done. That's what I will say about Ina. And I love working with Ina. It's been a great relationship over the last few years, and I think we got a great team.
Yeah, you and I are definitely on the same speed wavelength. I'm the Russian, and you are fast-talking New Jersey boy. So we definitely get along very well, and that's part of the success of this team. Is we just genuinely love each other as friends, and love working with each other and spending time and riding BDRs.
Yeah, let's not forget about that part, because that's pretty great too.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a labor of love, and working with this team is really incredible. So Tim, thank you for that. We're going to let you go for now. We're going to bring you back later to talk about some of the more recent projects, but please give our best to the rest of the team at James Howard, and we're forever grateful for all that you do.
I will do. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Ina.
Magazines for decade or more, and so it was really a dream come true for me to ride my Honda in the desert with a legendary off-road racer. So but let's play a little video of Johnny from that trip and see if anybody else has a man crush on him.
This week we've been in the Nevada desert. It's been a little bit warm down in the south, and we've been slowly making our way to the north, which is kind of getting colder. Getting to explore Nevada on a race-wise is a lot different than being able to go and adventure through the backcountry of Nevada. We'll be able to experience all these stops and places that we pass by racing, we don't get a chance to experience. And so it's going to be an exciting event. It's going to be fun to get on the adventure bike and just roll out across the country and being able to stop and enjoy what's going on. You want to break away from the normal everyday grind of your going to your cubicle, being on your phone, and you want to get out and meet people and in the middle of nowhere and see what the rest of the world's like. That's what you get when you go on a BDR trip.
Okay, well, you know, Johnny was such a class act. I'd heard so many good things about him from people in the industry, and meeting him, he was every bit as awesome as people had told me, and maybe a little bit more. So, but I have to say, my most memorable part of the Nevada BDR was that night we got stuck up in the snow on the mountain. I remember riding with Johnny and seeing him struggle on the bike that night, and the rest of the crew. We were picking up bikes off the ground and pushing and dragging, and I got a new motorcycle hero that night. Do you know who it was?
It wasn't me. I was busy having a baby at home.
It was not you.
Was it Tracy Jeffries?
It was Tracy Jeffries. She outshined some of the guys on our trip that night. There were a few motorcycles that were left on the mountain that night, and Tracy's was not one of them. She battled through. It was dark. She was losing her front wheel, going down, picking up the bike. We all were. We were letting air out of our tires, just total survival mode. We were out of food, out of water. It was like pretty much as gnarly as it gets on an adventure, and she made it down that mountain, and she had a smile on her face at the finish line. So I think let's roll a little video of that night in the snow, that day in the snow that ended in the night.
Lots of snow, a lot of ice, 15 miles, 20. It was quite the adventure. Don't fall because you won't have anyone to help pick you up, so be good. Just be steady. I was actually doing kind of okay, but it's getting icy. This is absolutely insane.
I don't know if we're gonna make it.
Talked to some guys up there, and they took pity on us and brought two of my teammates down in the back of a truck. There's a bunch more bikes, and we're struggling. I thought about doing that, but I thought, nah, I could get my bike down.
It's pretty difficult, but I made it. I got through it.
Oh God. I didn't die. I'm still alive.
So you're a part of the BDR ski team now.
Tracy is an amazing rider, and she's a huge part of the BDR. In fact, she volunteered at the BDR before I even started there. And locally, she has inspired so many women and men to go out and ride. She's incredible. In fact, Tracy is volunteering tonight. Tracy, you want to come say hi?
There's
Hi,
everyone.
And on that snowy night ride, I got worried when Johnny Campbell said, I'm not sure if we're going to make it.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
You did. Some men didn't. You did.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for all your contributions tonight.
And thank you, Tracy, for adding it up on the spreadsheet over there. It's a thankless job, but she's always willing to do it.
Sounds like we have more donations,
Okay.
more pledges coming in through our email. Bill Whitaker just committed to $2,500. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Our financial sheet will look much better after this donation. And we have a donation from Tim Smith. Tim Smith is one of our founding donors, along with Glenn Johnson there. And Tim has committed to $15,000.
15?
15.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. So,
Wow.
So far, this is the largest donation for the night. It might get matched
man.
and get doubled, but let's keep trying for even a higher number.
Well, I'm not sure anyone's going to beat 15, but I hope they do. But yeah, thank you, Tim Smith, huge supporter for many years. And he's just one of the most fun guys to spend time with at our fundraiser ride every year.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who is supporting us right now. Every penny counts. We appreciate your support. This is what keeps this organization going, is the support from the community. Thank you so much.
Yep, and no donation is too small. Just go right on to Tiltify and give whatever you can. It's all appreciated, and it's all spent equally. So I would like to talk a little bit about the film crew. You know, the documentaries have been such a big part of the BDR and our YouTube channel with all the helpful hints in that. And in the beginning, it was just Sterling. You know, he was the one-man band out there setting up the tripod, downloading the footage. Back in the old days, we had tapes. So we were filming on tape and then downloading from the tape to the hard drive. That's how long ago we started. Now we have a 3-person film crew, plus we have a photographer. So it's a really good team. We have a lot of guys that have been with us for many years. They just keep getting better every year. And in addition to being a filmmaker for us, Sterling was one of the founding members of the nonprofit. So he's one of the guys that really believed in this and put together the nonprofit many, many years ago. And so I'm hoping that we have Sterling here live with us. Sounds like we're trying to cue him up right now. So we talked about how he's the one-man band. There are few people on this planet that can tackle editing a documentary. They are huge. There's been a few times where we used other people when Sterling wasn't available, and it is just a really tough slog. There's few people that can lock themselves in the basement for 3 months and just work on the same project day in and day out and have, you know, a 90-minute documentary come out the other end. It's pretty remarkable. Is Sterling available? Or are we still queuing up? Okay. Another quick Sterling story. So Sterling loves to camp, and I mean really loves to camp. When he was, I think, a senior in high school, or maybe he was just starting college, he lived out of the back of a truck, basically camped for a whole entire year while he was going to school. And another thing a lot of people don't know about Sterling is that he used to work on a cruise ship. So he was part of the team that would film, edit, and produce a show every single night about whatever happened on that cruise ship at that time. And you know, we've kind of seen Sterling grow up over the years. We've seen his hair really change, gets crazier and crazier every year. Have we been able to land Sterling for a little interview, or
communication keeps about 90 seconds.
Okay, we're going to give you just a little bit more of a stall, see if we can bring him online.
So
I think I see him. Sterling, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you could make it all the way from, where are you, Bisbee? We're just starting to talk about your hair. How has your hair changed over the years?
Well, it's changed its color, that's for sure. It's a lot more gray than when I
It seems to kind
started.
of stand up more than it used to as well.
Yeah, you know, spending so much time in a motorcycle helmet, after a while, I just gave up trying to keep it managed or anything like that and just let it do its thing.
Yep. So other than Ina, you're one of the people who I think the BDR has had a really big impact on your professional career as well as your personal life. Could you tell us a little bit about how the BDR has made an impact in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. It has really changed my life in 3 really important ways. And obviously, my career has benefited a lot from the BDR. That's what everybody knows by seeing the movies that I've involved in. But I don't think most people know that where I live now in Bisbee, Arizona, I discovered this town the first time I came here was on the Arizona BDR that we saw earlier with Austin Vince and Ina and you. And who would have known that later in my life I would end up moving to a town that I discovered on the BDR. And then finally, the other biggest part of my life is my partner, Eva Rupert. And I met her at the BDR fundraiser in Death Valley 4 years ago. And so literally where I live and who I live with.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable. And you've been making these films the whole entire time. How has filmmaking changed for you on the BDRs over the last 10 plus years?
Well, you know, the technology changes a lot, of course. There's always new cameras and new things that you want to try out because of technology. And then you guys, the BDR, have always really set the bar really high and tried to, you know, you've always wanted to make the movie better each time that we do it. And so that could involve different things like camera sliders or gimbals or drones. All of those things have been added into our production, and it got to the point where I just couldn't do all of this stuff by myself. So we've had to bring in some extra crew members to help out with the cinematography and the drones. And it's just become a much bigger production, but I still direct everything in the field and then take all the footage back and put it together myself.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And you're currently working on our, hopefully working on our documentary, our 10-year retrospective. How's that going?
Absolutely. You know, it's really fun to relive 10 years of BDR history through all of the old footage. and uncover some clips and some memories that maybe I've forgotten about that would be really cool to share with our audience, and just show everyone how this whole organization was born and evolved to become what it is today.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, it's been quite an adventure, quite a journey of discovery, and I can't think of a better person to share it with on the filmmaking side than Sterling Noren. So, Sterling, thank you so much for all the work over the years, and thanks for making time for us tonight. And please get back to work on that documentary now.
Say hi to Eva.
Will do.
Bye, Sterling.
Bye, Sterling.
So we want to thank other members of our production crew, if we have a slide there to show their faces. So we've got Michael Bilicki, who is our second camera guy, and he is also a talented video editor. In fact, I think sometimes he even gives Sterling some tips and tricks. Eli Woody, John Beck. John is our original photographer that has started as a photographer on the expeditions, and then currently he is joining us as a drone operator and does amazing aerial footage that really spices up the films and increases the production quality. Eli Woody is an incredibly talented photographer. He worked with us on a couple expeditions, and I have to say his photography is so amazing that a couple times when I sent his photographs to the sponsors, it really grabbed their attention, and they wanted to work with us. So Eli has helped me land a few big sponsors. Thank you for that. And so that's our main crew as it currently stands. But in the past, we've worked with other talented photographers and drone operators. Just wanted to acknowledge Bill Wiegand and Fonzie and Matt Delcomen. Thanks for your talent and contributing to the BDR vision.
And the original one, Helge Peterson,
And Helge,
from so long ago that we didn't have a current photo of him.
So we are nearing the East Coast route. So in 2018, we turned our attention to the East Coast and filmed the Mid-Atlantic BDR. Board member Kevin Woody was charged with creating that route, and he spent nearly 3 years flying across the country, driving his truck and motorcycles across the country, working with local volunteers to create the first East Coast BDR, which was the Mid-Atlantic route. And I believe we have a clip from that era.
While he's bringing up the clip, I will say that he was our biggest customer at TourTech USA for a few years there when he was outfitting all those bikes that he had around the country when he was working on that project. So yeah, let's watch the video of Kevin.
We had a lot of positive feedback from the community for years. One of the negative things we would time to time hear is, how come you guys don't have a route on the East Coast? And the only reason we didn't have a route is because we just didn't have the roots. We didn't have anybody that had been willing to take it on. Kevin Woody, he was the guy that got us really started. He was the first guy that said, I can do it. I'll spend the money, I'll spend the time to help create a route out east. And so we feel like we're supporting that half of the country, and that's a great feeling.
So we really wanted to try to sort of introduce the BDR to the East Coast riders that wouldn't normally have access to such a ride. And that route took us just over 3 years to map out.
Okay, so quick little note. I heard Jocelyn made a donation and asked if she could He's done a lot of heavy lifting for the BDR, whether it's lending his truck or driving his truck, hauling trucks and trailers and bikes across the country for fundraisers, for filming expeditions. As we mentioned, he created the Mid-Atlantic project. He also has come along as a cook and support driver. I think in Nevada, he was playing a support role in that. He's also currently involved in route development, so he's part of our route development committee, and he just does whatever it takes and more. So Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Ina, you always make me cry.
Don't cry now. We cry together a lot.
Kevin, that's
no.
Kevin's thing. He sometimes cries. He's an emotional guy, giant heart, but that's part of why we love him. He really cares a lot about the BDR. So Kevin, what were the biggest challenges developing the Mid-Atlantic route?
I think it was the vastness of the distance of the whole route. It went through probably 5-6 different regions that required basically a whole different mindset how we were going to get through those particular areas. So it was pretty much a challenge. It was very difficult to get over the top of the Appalachian Range, back and forth numerous times to be able to stitch this whole thing together.
And as I remember, we were trying to go north-south, but all the roads either went, they pretty much went east-west. So it was just like a big zigzag, slowly working our way north.
It was like a big sewing stitch all the way up.
Yeah. So that was the challenge side of things. What was special about that project or that route?
For me, I think it was my passion for people and my passion to get people that may not have the opportunity to get into the Outback. That was a big part of it for me. So developing this route, I detuned it a little bit. I'm a very historical kind of guy, so I love history, and I wanted to put us through areas that maybe people wouldn't necessarily ever go to, but we've got, I don't know, probably a dozen or 2 dozen places along the route that you can stop and see part of what America was all made about, what all caused it to happen out there.
Yep, Kevin mentioned that he's a people person, and I can vouch for that. He really is. He's the life of the party at the fundraiser events, and he's also Mr. Friendly. When he's representing the BDR at the trade show, he does great with the community, but he also becomes best friends with every vendor within a 50-mile or 50-foot radius of the booth, maybe 50 miles, but he gets around. He's really wonderful in that way. So Kevin, the BDR has become a big part of your life. Why does the BDR mean so much to you?
I think once it allows me to escape my day-to-day stuff. It allows me to be with my family, my son. I often will ride 2 up with my wife. We'll take off. She may not do a full route with me, but we often will jump into that. I got my son, my son-in-law, my middle daughter involved in it, so we spend a lot of time. So it just really allows me to reconnect with my family, to sort of engage with them and engage with my friends. And one of the highlights of my life, and we've had this conversation many times, is being able to ride with you two as well as the whole rest of the group and the people. I don't care if I'm riding, I don't care if I'm driving a truck. I just love the camaraderie and I love the people that it involves.
Yeah, well, that is so much appreciated, Kevin. The BDR wouldn't exist without everything that you've done, and I know you're also, in addition to what you do physically and with your time, you've also been very generous to the BDR. So is there anything else you'd like to say while we have you on the line?
Yep, I would love it if Ina just reached around and tucked that up, $2,500.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you so much,
We
Kevin.
will gladly do it. Yeah, Kevin, thank you so much. Appreciate you making time, and thanks for everything that you do for the BDR. We'll let you
Thanks,
get
you
back
guys.
to it.
Love you all. Take care.
Thanks. Love you too.
Thank you, Kevin.
Bye.
Route, and that was the Southern California BDR. That route was one of the most anticipated routes in the whole BDR system. And Ron West was instrumental in helping create that route with a few other volunteers from California. Ron is a California local, and he has encyclopedic knowledge of the state. And he was sort of our historian in the film. And in fact, we loved working with Ron so much that we invited him to join the BDR board. And so now Ron is a board member. He helps communicating with land managers, and he also manages our ambassador program. And his voice is amazing, and so he kind of became the official voice of the BDR. He does a lot of voiceovers in our films or video projects that we do. Internally, we call him the Silver Fog.
I still don't know what that means, but knowing Ron, he's got a movie star name, and yeah, he's got the smooth voice. He's done a lot of voiceover for us. And funny thing, I think we're trying to get him on right now, but not sure he's with us yet. When I first met Ron, it was at the IMS show in Long Beach, and he was volunteering for a different nonprofit. That was before he was a part of ours. He was volunteering in the public lands area of the United States Forest Service booth, and he was wearing his green shirt, and he had the hairdo. I totally thought he was a forest ranger. For the first couple of years that I knew Ron, I thought he was a forest ranger, and I thought it was really cool that he was so into motorcycles that he came to the show. But turns out he was a volunteer, just a community, activist, volunteering, helping spread the good word about riding on public lands on the Forest Service, and so that was how we came to know Ron. All right, Ron is still trying to get connected.
But it's interesting how that route came to be, because you mentioned we met Ron at the IMS show in Long Beach a number of years ago, and he asked us, is anybody working on the Southern California route? And we said no, but if you want to take that on, you're welcome to do that. And he did. We had a team of 3 California locals who were scouting and creating the route for a few years, and then we finally got it done. And it just shows, that individuals can contribute so much to the BDR. It is a collective effort, but it really, depends on the work and the effort of individuals and how much they're willing to put into this organization.
Yep, a lot of BDR routes have been created by people just coming to us, getting to know us, willing to help, having some knowledge about a certain state or region, and just being willing to put in the time. And that's sometimes what causes certain routes to make it to the top of the priority list for us, is having the locals. So let's welcome to the show Ron West.
Hi, how you doing? I can't seem to get the video work, but
All right. Well, Ron, tell us, how did you get involved with the BDR?
Well, I've been involved with nonprofits for a number of years, and one of the ones that I was working with, the Southern California Mountains Foundation, and every year we would have a booth at the Long Beach International Motorcycle Show, and that's where I first met Paul. And the great thing about working the shows is before the show you have a chance to kind of interact with the other vendors. And so I'd ask Paul about the California route, and he said, well, it's in the rotation, it's in the works. And then I remember one year, I remember, Ina, you were there, and we started talking about California. And I must have just done a data dump on Paul, because when I was done, Paul said, Ron, why don't you come to our fundraiser in Death Valley and pitch it to the group? And so I remember turning around, and the first time that I was ever introduced to anyone like the BDR, and so at that fundraiser, after I kind of pitched the California route, there was a group of us that got together, and we actually formed the scouting team for the California route, and we spent about the next 3 years creating the route.
Yeah, amazing. What was your favorite element of that Southern California route?
Oh, wow. I think there's actually a couple. I mean, one has to be the Mojave Preserve. I mean, it's just so scenic, the opportunity to ride amongst the Joshua trees. And what's amazing, too, is that those of you who have been both through the Mojave Preserve and Joshua Tree National Park, I think the trees in the Joshua, in the Mojave Preserve are actually a little more spectacular. Unfortunately, as many of you know, I mean, California has literally been on fire. And we had the SEMA Dome fire this past summer, and unfortunately, literally thousands of Joshua trees were burnt. The majority of the burn area was to the west of our route, but unfortunately, it did impact the the routes. And so a lot of the areas that you saw in the film, unfortunately, those Joshua trees are burnt. The other thing that's really unfortunate that happened this past summer is many of you may remember the American Hotel up in Sierra Gordo. They had a fire there, and the entire hotel burnt to the ground. So it's really been a devastating year in California. But the other route, or the other section that I really enjoy, is Section 7 alternate, the expert section through Mazorca Canyon. It's interesting because we had billed this as a winter route, and literally probably for the 5 years previous to us releasing the route, you could have done the entire route all winter long. And after we did the route, we had 2 just amazing snow years. Normally, we don't get that kind of snow up in the in that area on Section 7 because it's in the rain shadow of the Sierras, but it's been closed down. But that area is just gorgeous. Just flowing terrain. It is expert section, but the expert sections tend to be kind of small. When you're up there, you get to ride and look to the west and see the incredible snow-capped Sierra. So it's really an amazing opportunity. And I think they're predicting this is going to be a lower snow year. So hopefully those of you that are considering riding the California route will get an opportunity to ride Section 7 alternate on the California route.
Sounds good, Ron. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everything you do for the BDR. Anytime we ask Ron to do anything, he always says yes. And he's been instrumental working with Corva and really helping us move the access and advocacy needle further. Thanks for joining us tonight, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you
thanks
so much. Yeah, have a wonderful evening, and thank you for all the donors. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
BDR appreciates it. Yeah.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, so California.
Yeah,
What else
California.
happened?
Well, what happened is KTM came on board as our second OEM sponsor, and we had a blast riding with Quinn Cody. Quinn is a professional off-road racer. He's a 4-time Baja 1000 champion, Dakar Rally racer. So we've got a clip from that era. Let's take a quick look here.
So my name's Quinn Cody. I currently work for KTM in research and development. A big part of my job is developing dual sport bikes, things like that for KTM. KTM's involvement in the BDR it really lines up very well with our core values. Just the fact that the BDR is helping to establish and protect routes for our customers to get out and ride their motorcycles. In North America, we have unlimited access to off-road riding like this, and not everyone knows that. It's really great that there's a group like the BDR that is establishing places for people to go and ride their motorcycles.
Joe Scott.
Okay, so we're back. Okay, so I guess, Ina, do you have any updates for us on fundraising?
Yeah, so Bill Whitaker just called back and said, double my donation, so he's up to $5,000.
Wow,
so I'm going to move our needle to buy $2,500 here.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. The
treasurer.
The treasurer and the financial sheet is looking even better right now. And we've got just a few other donations. Wanted to thank our donors on Tiltify, Clark Denny, Bob Hopwood, Enrique Garcia, Brian Peters, and the others who have donated $100. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Yeah, and I think this is the time of the night where we bring Tim James back. Do we have Chim? Okay, Tim, it sounds like it's spooling there. So Tim got his start on Madison Avenue back in the 1980s. He was working for an ad agency right there in the heart of things. That was right when computers were starting to come out and they were starting to be used for graphic design. He tried to get his design firm to get into the modern era with computers. They were still doing things cut and paste, old school. So he maxed out his credit cards, bought his first Macintosh computer, and started a business around it. And I think that was something like 30 years ago. I've been to Tim's office. He still has that original computer. It looks like he's here. Tim, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks.
You've been working with locals to develop the Northeast BDR. It was a little bit of a different approach. Tell us, how did that work?
Yeah, so
when I was given the task of developing or leading the development of that route, it was just a daunting thought to develop a route that was going to encompass 7 states in the Northeast. So I knew I had to recruit some local knowledge, and so I reached out to people that I knew in the adventure riding community from each one of those states, and collected a team of 6 people, including myself, and and each one of those people contributed such an amazing amount of their time and knowledge to put this 1,300-mile route together. So big thanks to Todd, Victoria, Eric, Andrew, and Brian. You guys are the bomb. Couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, that really, it sort of created a new model for us. We loved the approach. I think we had more characters in the film as a result. It's always fun having people tell the story of their own backyard. It really makes it authentic and interesting. And I think we found some better writing that way. So yeah, way to go on that. The next thing I wanted to ask you about was you're a big advocate of our Ride Right and Ride Respectfully programs. I was wondering if you would share a little bit on that.
I'd love to. So Ride Right was a program I think we rolled out on the MABDR, I believe, and that was an initiative that Rob Watt, I think, came up with. I think it might have been Bryson Watt.
Justin Bradshaw and Rob Watt.
Correct. I'm sorry. Ride right when you ride BDRs, because you don't know what's going on around that next corner. So when you don't have a line of sight through a corner, you got to stay right and avoid head-ons. And we've had people that are in the BDR community that have had head-ons and have learned the hard way, unfortunately. So it's a really important program, and I think it really, over the last 3 years, I think it's really gotten some traction.
Absolutely, it really.
To create a program to encourage people to ride responsibly and respectfully. So we have like 12 points that are up on the website that are kind of tips to how you ride respectfully. And one of the big ones is obviously to slow down as you go through communities. In the Northeast and New England specifically, a lot of the homes are very close to the road. And so, think about a pack of half a dozen bikes rolling down in the dust and the noise that's caused by that. So slowing down, getting off the pipe, trying to minimize dust is a really, really important thing. Waving and trying to be friendly. Don't engaging in arguments with, if you do come across a local that's not super happy that you're coming by, just try to be friendly and don't get into any kind of argument. Be mindful of gathering in front of homes. If you get through a tough section and everybody, you get out of one of the class 4 roads, let's say, and you all just are beat up and teamwork got you through that crazy 5-mile stretch, and you're at the end, you're back on a dirt road, there may be a house right there. So while you're all high-fiving and drinking Red Bulls, someone might be, in their house cooking dinner. So just be mindful of collecting in front of homes. It's super important. And, now that we have a full riding season of the Northeast, in the rear view, I think it's a couple more things came to light. And the biggest one is, I think, is the size of the riding party. So, and we've had some letters come in about people complaining about large numbers of riders coming down these dirt roads. So what I'd like to suggest to the community is think about the number of people in your group. 8 to 12 is a fairly large group to be going through the Northeast BDR. Maybe consider keeping it to 4 to 6 riders, where we make a little bit less of an impression when we're rolling through local communities. It'll make all the difference. The last thing we want to do is lose our access to some of these great roads up through the Northeast. And if we get too many locals complaining, that's exactly what will have to happen. So I really ask the guys and ladies out there riding the Northeast BDR to think about it. Think about the ramifications of their actions out on the route.
Yep. Wise words. Tim, thank you so much for spearheading that and for everything else that you do. It really helps keep riding opportunities open, and we've all got to be smart. Ride right, ride respectfully so we can keep doing this. Thank you for coming back on with us.
Can I say one more thing, Paul? I just want to thank everyone for these generous donations. It's out of control to see that needle raised so much, and it's just really warms my heart to see everybody kind of kicking back and giving back to the BDR. And we should mention, and I'm sure you have, but maybe perhaps I missed it about our 501c3 and the fact that it can be a deductible contribution, because I think maybe those who just tuned in may not know that, so it's worth repeating.
Yep, so. Absolutely right. We'll continue to repeat that a few times. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Really appreciate it. Yeah, as Tim mentioned, we are 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible. You can even have your employer, if they offer an employee or employer match, we're eligible for that. Just email info@ridebdr.com and we'll help you arrange that. So thank you, Tim. Ina, what else do we have next?
Thanks.
Well, let me put my BDR Chief Crashing Officer hat. And, even when you're trying to ride safely, no BDR is complete without some epic crashes. And those crashes always get the biggest reaction in the movies. So we've compiled a short sequence of some of the best BDR crashes. Let's take a look.
Oh, Jesus! Whoa! Oh, shit.
Like a drug that I just can't deny, giving me the best high. My body's shaking, shaking every time you get into my mind. Like a fire, burning wild in my heart. Take me far away in the dark. Only you can show me how to come alive. I feel shivers down my spine. I've been waiting for a long time. So I need to make you mine. Think I want you in my bloodline. I feel shivers down my spine. I've been waiting for a long time. So I need to make you mine. Think I want you in my bloodline. In my bloodline. The sun is rising, but I don't wanna stop. I can never get enough. 'Cause you bring out all the best in me. You're the one who holds the key. Like a fire, burning wild in my heart. Take me far away in the dark. Only you can show me how to come alive. I feel shivers down my spine. I've been waiting for a long time. So I need to make you mine. Think I want you in my bloodline. I feel shivers down my spine. I've been waiting for a long time. So I need to make you mine. Think I want you in my bloodline. In my
Okay, well, Ina, I'm not sure what percentage of those crashes were you, but it has to be a few percentage points.
Sterling always shows me crashing. He never shows me riding well.
I know,
What's up with
poor
that?
guy.
I'm a better rider than that.
Yeah. Well, any news on donations you have for us?
Yeah, there's a quick correction. Joe Scott, I had him originally for $500. It's actually $5,000. So I'm going to move the needle. What was it? $5,000.
What a difference a zero can make, huh? Because that puts us up over $50,000, which means we are within
getting close,
spitting distance of reaching our goal of $60,000. And you all know what that means. That means we're going to get to hear the Jocelyn Backcountry Discovery Wrap if we can raise another $10,000-ish here, and we're getting close to the end of the program. So if you've been sitting on the fence thinking about donating, now's a really good time. Anything else before we jump into the future?
No, that's it. Just wanted to thank everyone who is watching and donating. BDR could not do it without the community support.
Yeah, so now we're getting into the segment of the night where we're talking about the future. What is the future for the BDR? And I think we've got a little bit of video on that, so let's roll the future. One of the most important questions we have is about the future. You know, what is the vision of the future? What's going to happen? Are we going to run out of states to do? Who's going to do the work? How are we going to keep up with this monster that we've created?
Some of the bigger challenges that BDR is facing in the future is really to be able to continue the fundraising effort. In addition to creating a route a year and producing a map and the tracks and the website and all the resources and the film, we're also actively managing the 10 routes that are currently in existence. We're working with local volunteers on the ground and land managers to make sure that we deliver the information about road closures in a timely manner. It is now very expensive to keep up the website and be able to manage all 10 routes that we have created so far, and the amount of emails and phone calls that come in is enormous. And so just keeping on top of our administrative expenses is a challenge every year.
When people get out their checkbook and make a donation to the BDR, that's a big part of what they're paying for, is us to manage all those routes, to keep those open for the community to enjoy. The good news is we still have many states left that we can do a good route in, and eventually we will reach outside of the U.S. borders. We'll start doing BDRs in other countries, other provinces. That's what's in the future.
All right. Well, yeah, there's a lot in the future, and it couldn't be done without expanding our team. So we have expanded our team recently. Ina, works constantly on the BDR, and now she has Derek Roberts, who's helping out. He's been with us about a year doing social media. He's also our sponsor manager, and he's also the guy that's behind the computer running this entire program. He's been up late every night for a week straight, so he is the magic that's making this broadcast happen. So yeah, sponsorship manager, manages all of the social media. And then Derek Holman is new. He's been with us a couple of months now, so he is Ina's right-hand man, does community management, helps with communications, project management, anything that needs to be done, he is doing it. So these days we are managing 10 routes. We're managing the travel resources for all of those 10 routes. We're doing all of the communication that's involved with, overseeing and managing those 10 routes. In the last year, we also created 10 Facebook group pages. So we have a Facebook group page for each of the existing routes. And so that's just an example of some of the work that's being done behind the scenes. And then we're also working to grow the next generation of adventure riders so that we continue to have a robust community to support the BDR and to enjoy it.
Yep. And also in the future, of course, we will continue relying on our volunteers for scouting, community engagement, working at events, and of course helping advance our safety and educational messages like ride right and ride respectfully. And we cannot do it without our loyal and hardworking ambassadors. We currently have about 30 ambassadors, and we just wanted to recognize some of the BDR ambassadors who shine bright. First and foremost is Nathan Fant. Nathan is a superstar volunteer. He lives in Oregon, and he currently answers our route info email. So if you've ever emailed questions about routes or GPS problems, that's him answering your questions. He's also part of the scouting team that's working on the Northern California route and the Oregon routes. Nathan, you're just a superstar. We're so happy to have you on our team. Tim Gutierre, he's our Mid-Atlantic region ambassador. He's attended numerous fundraisers and volunteered at IMS shows. He also helps answer questions on the Mid-Atlantic Facebook group page. Tim, we love you. Thank you so much for being a part of this organization. Jody Arnold, Jody scouted routes for the Southern California fundraiser in Borrego Springs a couple years ago. He's an amazing presenter. He has presented at the IMS shows on behalf of the BDR. And then Jill Oliver. Jill is our map wizard extraordinaire. She is here in Seattle, and she has created and is managing all of our ArcGIS maps on our website. And those maps are really incredible. You can apply layers for smoke, weather conditions, snow levels. It is really an amazing resource if you're planning your trip. Wanted to recognize Andrew Phillips, one of the Northeast volunteers. He's our New Hampshire local. He's the author of the Hamster Trail and really went above and beyond on helping us with the Northeast route. Victoria Zandanella, she's the Massachusetts expert on the Northeast BDR, and she's very well known locally for her adventure club. She leads rides and really inspires people to enjoy and go out ride in the backcountry. Special thanks to Ian Glynn. I don't know if Ian is watching tonight, probably not. He just had a baby, but Ian works for TourTech USA as his day job. But from the very beginning, Ian has been our GPS expert, and he has every iteration of the tracks that we've ever had. So he has all the files. He's published all of our routes in a GPS format, and he's sort of the gatekeeper for all things GPS for the BDR. And a few more volunteers. Whitney from Seattle is helping Bryce scout the Oregon route. Trevor Morton in California is working on the Northern California route with Ron West. And then, of course, Jocelyn Snow, our superstar ambassador. Not only is she a great rider, she's just an inspiration to many in the adventure community. Man, when I saw Jocelyn ride, it was the first time at the TourTech rally, and she was doing the slow course, and man, she rode better than any man I've ever seen. And I was like, my God, who is this woman? Where did she come from? She's absolutely an incredible rider, and man, Jocelyn, you're girl power at its best. Thanks for being on our side.
Yeah. So let's check the numbers, Ina. How are we doing?
Yeah. So I think we are at $52,000 right now.
So Tracy, the 21 there, is that on Tiltify?
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
So what? No way. Oh my God.
Okay. So let's first deal with.
No, that's the new winner. Do you want to break the news?
Yes. Do we have a slide for Frank and Matt Leonard there?
Yeah, let's get those guys up here. These guys happen to be some of the funnest two that we've ever spent time with at the fundraiser. They come to it every year, drinking beer in the pool, riding bikes. They're just a blast.
Wow. And so they have, normally what they do is they have this tradition of rounding up to the next big number. But we have just received a note that Frank and Matt are committing to $20,000.
Oh my God, that is the largest single donation that we've ever had in the history of the BDR. And I think maybe they were taking the bait on that match. So that $20,000 becomes $40,000. So
wow.
Right here, right now, we just raised $40,000. So that brings it up to 92.
What?
Ish $1,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. This is incredible. Frank and Matt, thank you. I can't wait to drink beer with you guys in the pool at the next fundraiser, if we ever get to have another live fundraiser. These guys are incredible. And they have always had this tradition of when we get up to a certain number, they round it up. And I think that was the plan this year, but I think they were inspired by that match from an anonymous donor, who I know who that donor is. And I'm just going to say a quick word. Several years ago at one of our fundraisers, he came up to us and he said, we just really respect what you guys do. Every year we come here, you tell us what you're going to do. The next year we come back to the fundraiser. You guys have done exactly what you said, and more. And he said, I don't know any other organization that does that. So, whatever you guys need, we're going to do it. And so he stepped up in a huge way this year, and I just can't believe it. So anyways, thank you guys. Thanks for everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, is it time for us to?
I guess we made it to the end of the 127 transitions that Derek had to do to put together this presentation, and all the work that Sterling put into all the video clips, and the whole team at James Howard's behind the scenes. But as a final celebration of our 10-year anniversary and a successful night of fundraising, we just want to recognize this loving embrace that we feel from the adventure community and have over the years. We just couldn't do it without you guys. And so now that we've crushed the goal, we've earned the opportunity to see the Jocelyn Backcountry Discovery Wrap. I still have not seen it. I've only heard about it. So I can't wait to see it. Hopefully we can spin that up and play it. And what a great way to end this evening and the 10 years.
Wow.
Holy Toledo.
Thank you, Paul and Ina. And thanks to all of you for coming online tonight to help us celebrate our 10-year anniversary. What an amazing night. And it looks like we've reached our goal. So, yeah, I guess I'm really doing this. So, well, without further ado, my backcountry discovery wrap. Let me cue my music. Here goes. I'd like to tell everyone about the BDR, all the cool things we've done and how we got this far. Jocelyn Snow is my name, adventure riding fool, and I made this rap to explain why BDR is so cool. B stands for backcountry, far from city lights. Small towns and scenery, back roads and stunning sights. Discovery is the letter D, there's so much to explore. There's a whole world to see, we'll leave you wanting more. Routes will make the letter R from point A to point B. Places you can't take a car where senses can run free. The most crooked way across the state, that's how the routes are planned. Sure to pass all things great, water, mud, rock, stir, and sand. Folks like me volunteer and sponsors help out too. We add more donors every year, but still have room for you. Donations help us grow, you see. Deduct it if you like. We're 501c3. That's more money for your bike. We plan the routes, the stops, the gas, and where to stay the night. What's to see and what's to pass, adventuring done right. We put the tracks online for you, download them at no cost. Write BDR.com for you, so you don't get lost. A Butler map will show the way and highlight all the fun. There's even a DVD to play of every route we've done. 10 years, 10 routes, that's what we've got, a new one every year. 10,000 miles, now that's a lot, you better pack your gear. A couple riders had a vision. But how do we get this far? It's all about the 5 missions of the BDR. To create is the #1, develop and preserve routes that you motorcyclists really do deserve. Next on the list is to inspire, motivate you more, to light your seek adventure fire, make memories galore. Mission 3 is advocate, we're here to be your voice. Meet concerns, negotiate, and show there is a choice. We watch our parks, our roads, and keep you in the loop. Inform you when something's closed and find another route. To educate makes #4, we all can play a part. Safety, knowledge, and inform, but that's just a start. We have a program called Ride Right to keep you on your side. Oncoming traffic not in sight may cause you to collide. Ride respectfully is our rule to keep the tension down. Ride slow, keep it cool when rolling through the town. When nature calls, you gotta go, but try to be discreet. Don't gather near the locals' homes, it's not a place to meet. Pets on the road, do slow down, greet people with a wave. Leave all the gates as they're found, let's try to behave. Check online before you go for changes in the tracks. The information you should know that won't be on the maps. Get the routes from our site, no second-hand source, cause it's no fun stuck at night, lost and way off course. So choose a route and pick a date. You mustn't look too far. Support us, please. That'd be great. Go ride a BDR. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was incredible. Standing ovation. I have to say, Jocelyn is one of the most talented riders I've ever seen, and I think her creative talents might actually exceed her riding talent.
If that's possible.
That is unbelievable. What a great reward for making it to this finish line and raising the money, crushing our goal. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we're so grateful to all who have donated tonight and supported the BDR over the years. There is just one person we need to thank tonight. I know this is a surprise to you, Paul.
What?
But, you know, BDR is a labor of love for everyone who gets to do the day-to-day grind work at the BDR. But collectively, we have achieved so much. But no one has put more hours, more vision, and more business savvy than our fearless leader, Paul Gillian.
Oh my God.
So we wanted to commemorate your contributions to the BDR with this sentimental art piece.
Oh, wow.
And it shows a photo from each route. Thank you so much for humbly serving our community behind the scenes for over a decade. It's a privilege to work alongside of you. I'm going to cry right now. We're really happy that you are our leader.
Oh my
Paul,
God.
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Ina. That is so kind, you guys. I really can't believe it. I'm speechless and a bit teary-eyed at the same time. Oh my God. Thank you, guys. Well, what a wonderful note to leave it on. Thank you to everybody that's been involved in this, all of our team, employees, fans. You know, we didn't know when we created the BDR, we thought we were creating something for the community, and what we've realized over the years is we've actually created a community. We have this BDR community, and that's what we serve. That's what gets us out of bed in the morning, and why, you know, we worked for 10 years on this, but it means the world to me to be a part of this and to have such a wonderful team.
Yeah, thank you again for all the donors, all the supporters, and everybody who is riding the BDRs and sharing it with the rest of the community. We look forward to continuing to serve you more BDR routes to ride for years to come.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night.